Hello, everyone. Constable Renee Taylor in the Northeast region, and I am here with one of our newest recruiters, Sergeant Kelly Woodbury. Welcome to the Ask Me Anything in Northern Ontario, and I feel like we are missing one guest. There he is. Please introduce yourself.
Do I need to? I feel like I've been doing these long enough that people probably know me.
They'll
Dan
know
Mills.
your podcasts.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. How's everybody doing today? Renee, Kelly, how are you?
Good.
Good. What's going on
What's
in
new in-
North? Yeah, what's going on in Northwest?
Not a ton. It's been super mild. We had about a week. We had a cold snap for about a week, and it's been like yesterday. I think was like 10 degrees. It was like super mild. It's like March weather in February. I feel like we're gonna pay for it down the road though somehow.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I feel like we have a bit of a
Go ahead.
delay. I feel like our February is going by, and I'm wondering if the March will still bring cold. I'm not sure. It's just been an odd winter.
How are things in North Bay?
Things are pretty good here. The weather is screwing up my skiing season, but otherwise,
I know,
not
right?
so bad.
Downhill or cross country?
Downhill.
Yeah. I'm a bit more of a cross country guy lately, actually. I've been enjoying that until my back kind of went out a little bit, but yeah, cross country's cool. So what are we going to talk about today? International Women's Day is coming, March 8th.
Absolutely.
What does that
March 8th.
What does that look like for us, Renee?
Well, we have events going on all over the province. We would like you to go on to opp.ca, look at our upcoming events, and there's many that you can register for. So please go take a look. I think they're being posted there today at 3:00. Everyone is welcome. And there's going to be a ton of other events listed as well. But the International Women's Day, please do take a look, and hopefully you can join us for one of those. For all of our viewers today too, please do put your questions in. We'll touch on a few topics today. We're going to talk about duration postings, some of the areas of assessment. We're going to introduce our newest recruiter and have her tell us a little bit about herself. But in the midst of this next hour, we would like to also answer your questions and make sure that we get to all of those. So definitely take a look at opp.ca. Follow us on social media as well. You should be following us on Facebook or Instagram, Twitter. We're TikToking now. The reason we say this is we're absolutely up to date and current. So any changes in our unit, any changes with our processes, you're going to get them there. So if you're following us, you'll definitely stay in the know.
Penny asks, is there going to be huge hiring like last year, large classes? Yes. For the foreseeable future, we're going to be trying to fill 135 seats 3 times a year. So close to 500 a year with our regular recruits, as well as our experienced police officer program, where we accept applications from members of other police services who want to come over to the OPP. Waris asks, when completing our OPP application, how does one prepare for the interview portion? And also, how does one conduct thorough research on detachments? I would go to opp.ca and just take a look at the regions. Usually, I think there's links for our regions, as well as in those regional links, there's also information or links to individual detachment areas. But that being said, I would definitely call any detachment area that you are interested in. I would reach out to the detachment, to the administrative line at the detachment, speak with the administrative staff there, and they could direct you to any officer or maybe the ops manager at that detachment who can answer any questions that you might have about that specific detachment and what policing there looks like. So that's one thing that I would recommend for sure. And as far as preparing for the interview, I would say just make notes on yourself. Make notes on yourself in each of the 10 areas of assessment that you have. be honest and, like self-reflect and really make good detailed notes about yourself, because most of the questions that we are going to ask are kind of taken from those areas of assessments. So make sure you have like a lot of information, throw information at the front of your mind about yourself so that you can answer those questions.
A question about the different positions in the OPP, including civilian and uniform positions. And we also have many volunteer roles with the auxiliary as well available. So again, if you do go to our website, it's going to describe, we have approximately 6,000 uniform positions. We have approximately 3,000 civilian positions of all kinds. And you can go into those different categories on our careers page and look at what kind of roles are there and offered. So please go in and look at all of the different positions that we have, from civilian to uniform to volunteering.
Hunter's just mentioning that he found that speaking with officers at his preferred detachment areas help him narrow down his detachment choices. Thanks for your input, Hunter. If I'm coming over from another police service, would I be keeping the same class? Yes, I believe you would be. Am I correct there, Renee? If a first class constable comes over, they stay a first class constable. They don't have to go down a rank.
No.
We don't typically, so as far as we don't typically bring over sergeants, though, right? It's usually only constables.
Yeah, you're applying to the constable position.
Constable position.
There was a good question there about how do you weigh the risk of being in a dangerous job and coming home to your loved ones? So by all means, if you have a response to that one, Dan or Kelly, how do you go into policing and understand what we're doing every day and what our risks are? And
I think it's just, sorry if you were going to answer there, Kelly, but I think that, for me, it's just, it's a duty to serve, and I understand the risks, and my family, like my kids, kind of understand the risks. I don't know if the impact really sits with them. I don't know if they really kind of truly understand what that could mean, but they know my commitment to my job and my community and the province. And I guess it's just something when you decide that you want to be a police officer that you're aware of and you're willing to accept that possibility, right? I mean, the OPP is great for training and putting us in situations where we can make good decisions in stressful situations, and hopefully we mitigate, the risk of those negative outcomes. But it is always there.
absolutely. And I think, and a thank you to our in-service trainers and to our academy, because I can definitely say that my trainings definitely saved my life throughout my career, and definitely helps you be more confident. And, it's just a rule. We want to go home to our families, and we're going to do it the safest way possible. So there's a lot of decisions to make and a lot of conversations. I think let's take a minute, though, because we have Sergeant Kelly Woodbury here, and she's going to be new in Northeast Region, and everyone's going to be meeting her in the near future. And I just wanted to tell a little bit about herself and her background coming into recruitment and what her experiences have been in the past.
Well, thank you.
Welcome.
So thanks for having me on here today. This is the first time I've been online with the group, and my name's Kelly. I started with the OPP in 2005, and I did my first posting to Chapleau, which is part of the Superior East cluster. So it's a 4-year duration. I spent a little over 5 years there before all frontline general law enforcement position. And I transferred down to North Bay after that. And I spent the last 13 years in North Bay. part of that the last 7 years in crime, so in our criminal investigations unit. For those who aren't too familiar with that, we tend to investigate what we call benchmark occurrences, and that could include things from sex assaults to aggravated assaults to homicides, attempt murders, things like that. So recently this opportunity came up, and I looked into joining Renee here on her team, and I'm glad for the change. This is excellent. I have a family. I have a husband and 3 kids, and eventually now I just have one at home, and looking forward to this next chapter for my family and for career. And I saw a familiar name on the side there, so shout out to Andrew Gustavison. Hey, man.
Welcome to the team.
Thanks.
Yeah, welcome, Kelly. Excited to have you, and hopefully you can get Renee sorted out in the Northeast region there. And just kidding, Renee's awesome.
We've got some work to do.
We're getting in quite a few questions here. So again, if we miss your question for whatever reason, please fire it in the chat again, or send it to the uniformrecruitment@opp.ca email, and somebody will hopefully get back to you on that.
All right.
Somebody who's asked for an updated shuttle run last week. Is there a deadline? Not sure. I feel like there should be correspondence that is sent with the timelines, but it's likely 1 to 2 weeks, I would think. How far do I need to run?
We're getting a lot of long questions here.
Yeah, there are. How far do I need to run in order to meet the OPP physical ability requirement? Our minimum requirement for hiring is level 7 on the shuttle run. That's our minimum. But there are some runs that you're likely will be encouraged to participate in when you're at the Provincial Police Academy and the and OPC, and those would probably range anywhere between 5 and 10 kilometers. So I would shoot for those distances.
Where would I even begin to start the process of applying? Well, being on this Ask Me Anything is fantastic. So this is great. Ask your questions here. Head to our website, and I would attend an upcoming event of an information session near you. That's where I would start. Go to an information session. You'll get all of the details you need for what a competitive candidate looks like, and you can start working towards your competitive level.
I would also make sure you follow us at opp.ca/careers. Follow all our social media. There's always all of our current information is always posted on our social media accounts first. And then I would say, opp.ca/careers, the application form is there. Be thorough, pay attention to detail, because again, this is your first impression with the OPP. So you want to make a good impression when you submit that application. Somebody asked about ride-alongs. Thank you, Dan, for your support with the podcast. How can you do ride-alongs? I would reach out to the closest detachment in your area through the administrative line, speak with the administrative staff there and see if they can put you in touch with an officer and ask them about doing ride-alongs. I think post-COVID, we're starting to, I know in Northwest region, ride-alongs are starting to be more and more available. But again, I think it's going to depend on detachment to detachment.
All right. Are there any questions for the prep and the pins? So we're not practicing pin. You can self-test the pin, and all of your scores and guidelines are on the Ontario Police Fitness Appraisal website. But also, if you want to practice prep, go on to our upcoming events, because we do have practice prep sessions that are free. You just need to register to them. So opp.ca, upcoming recruitment events. Please go see there and see where they're available and when they're happening near you.
Somebody had a question, Renee, about with the practice preps, do they receive a document or anything that they can include in their application?
I don't believe that there is a document, and it's not an official test. It's practice for the techniques.
Yeah, but you can speak to
If
that.
I'm wrong,
But you can speak to that in. Sorry, Renee, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. They're registered for it. They're going to be speaking. There's going to be recruiters there. Everything about it is fantastic. So go and get used to the prep. Go and get your form down. Ask your questions, and you're also registered for the event. So that speaks to your motivation. Make sure you highlight that in your application that you in fact did attend. I'm not sure if they do get a certificate though.
I don't think that
I'll
they
ask.
I don't think so.
do. Luke is new to Canada, interested in joining the OPP. Are very far from my current look. Aside from the website, is there anywhere to gain more information? Again, being on here will give you information. Email the uniform recruitment at opp.ca website, or sorry, email address, and they'll be able to put you in touch with a recruiter who could ask you or answer any questions that you have, Luke.
Just going down the questions here.
Tyler's asking about positions for the intakes. We're always hiring, Tyler. So we try to do our best to fill the seats that we have, and it's a constant. You know, if the April class is full, then your application or your file will be forwarded for the next. If you're successful, will be forwarded for the next intake. So we're always, it's just kind of a flow. It's always it's kind of a living process that we have. So it's not, we don't hire for one specific intake. We're always kind of managing our files, and they're all at different stages of the process.
So Penny asked how long the process may take, and has gone through a lengthy process with a different police service. Right now, we're fairly quick, 2 to 6 months for your application and processing and all the rest of it. So reasonably short amount of time if you.
And that speaks to why when you're applying, you have to be at your competitive best, right? Because you're submitting your application and you need to be ready to police. So these information sessions are great. Understand those 10 areas of assessment and get to your competitive level. Then submit your application, because the minute you do, it's go time. We're going to be in touch with you, and there's going to be a lot of processes coming up that you need to be ready for. Do we need the OACP certificate, Sergeant Mills?
Nope. Often we get that question, and a lot of people are in the process with other police agencies as well, so they have it and they include it in their application as just a certificate that they add to their OPP application, and that's fine. We don't require it though, and sometimes people will ask the question, would it benefit me? Should I get it? And I usually leave it up to them, but I mean, we have no requirement for it, and there's a financial cost. I think it's like $275 or $300. So again, you make the decision if you want to pay the money for it, but it's not something that we require.
What detachments do we
Any of
recommend?
The Northwest
East region.
I think I can say that I might be partial to the Northeast, having spent the last 18 years here. But certainly I'm a big enthusiast for the North. Having started my career in the North, it's a great opportunity. If you're not from the North, I've had lots of coworkers who came from the South. and fell in love. Some stay their entire careers in the north, and they're originally from the south. But that being said, it's important to do your research and understand where you're going and what the communities are like. It's wonderful to be able to do investigations start to finish and learn the processes in some of these smaller communities. And I think that's been the best foundation for my career and given me the opportunities to move forward and get extra courses and skill sets that I may not have had the same opportunities in a southern, busier detachment. So that's my plug for the north. I love it. I'm staying, and I hope
Where are you
others
from,
want to
Kelly?
come.
You
Right here in North
that's
Bay.
where you grew up, in North Bay?
Yep, born and raised.
Good. I don't know if I'd consider that quite north. I don't know why it's called North Bay, because it's really...
I know. We're the gateway to the
Yeah.
north, or just north enough to be perfect. A few things like that. But I said going up to Chapleau was an eye opener for me, and turns out I love snowmobiling and ice fishing, and I just had to get a little bit more exposure to it.
I was in the Toronto area one time at a store, and there was somebody in front of me in line talking about going north for the weekend, telling the staff, the teller, that they were going north for the weekend. And I just, because I'm nosy, I said, "Oh, so where you going?" "Barrie." Like, okay, so that's north, eh?
That's north.
Yeah.
How?
So Kelly brought up Chapleau. Let's talk a little bit about durations then. Just because she brought up that she was in Chapleau, she was in a duration. I know that we just had a lot of interest in the north and duration postings. We're getting a lot of emails in about those. So let's just cover durations a little bit. I don't know, maybe just bring us through, if you don't mind, Kelly.
Yeah.
How long was Chapleau? How long
For sure.
was the duration? How does that work?
First of all, I had to turn the map over to figure out where Chapleau was. So once I figured that out, I had the opportunity to either go up and check out the place myself, or a family member, somebody could go out, check out a bit of real estate, things like that. It put me up in a hotel for my first little bit there, and that was covered in expenses. And then in certain places at the time, there was some government housing options up there. But what I really found was I got the most out of things once I spoke to my coach while I was at OPC and the academy, and they really helped point me in the right direction of good neighborhoods. If there was any officers locally who were renting out rooms, so that you could come up, get settled, figure out what was best for you. If in my situation, I didn't have the opportunity to go up and look at things myself, so I rented a room from somebody for the first month until I found some what I felt was good long-term for me. When you're going to a duration, ideally you live in that community so that you get your duration pay incentive, which helps with some of the extra costs of living. Personally, it was for me, I spent just over 5 years, even though it's a 4-year duration. I was waiting for the once I had that golden ticket of duration complete, I wanted to go to North Bay, and that was a sought after place at the time. So I had to wait a little bit until a position came open. And soon as it did, and I was top of the list, I transferred down, fully paid transfer. And that includes everything from if you owned a home, your real estate fees and your land transfer taxes, the move itself, pack you up and move you and bring you down, and some viewing trips to find a new house to live in and things like that. So although it's quite a process, there's a lot of support, and I know from having been in that Chapleau area, there's also other parts of the cluster in that. So that includes Wawa, White River, Hornpain is part of that group. And it's corny to say, but in those smaller communities, your OPP family really is a family, and they're going to take care of you and help you along the way. And no matter what it is, if it's lodgings, if it's helping find your significant other a job locally, everybody makes contacts, and that I found to be great. That's my experience on that. And I've seen a bunch of questions about, is there airports near those durations and things like that? In general, I mean, we can't speak to every single detachment, but we can help you as far as setting you up with somebody local to help point you in the right direction. Of course, we're not real estate agents, and government housing has diminished over the years. So we just, we can hook you up, but in general, there's still opportunities. And of course, housing in the north is cheaper than down south. It's dating myself, but be about 13, no, maybe 15 years ago, selling a house that we bought for $103,000, a nice 3-bedroom, 2-bath, split level, fully bricked home with a garage, and all of that. It was 103 and sold it for the same. So there's options.
There's a couple here that I'll take. Would the OPP still consider someone that is in their 50s? I love this question because it gives me the opportunity to plug my podcast. So check out Reflections Inside the OPP. You can find it on Spotify or through our social media. There will be links there as well. But I interviewed a couple episodes ago. The episode that was released was with an officer by the name of Nicola Morris. And she's a post 50-year-old probationary constable right now. I believe she's at Aurora Detachment. So again, she finished a career in fitness and decided that she wanted to pursue a career in law enforcement. And so yeah, she's over 50 and living the dream with the OPP at Aurora Detachment. So yes, Robert, definitely. The only requirement we have is 18 years of age. And we'll look at anybody else. There was a couple others here. There was one from Luke. So Luke had asked again about getting more information without having to necessarily travel to one of our open houses or in-person info sessions. I usually have info sessions at the beginning of every month. So the first Monday and the first Wednesday. The Monday session's at noon and the Wednesday session is at 7 in the evening. So I usually host virtual information sessions twice a month at the beginning of the month. So if you want more information, look for those on our opp.ca/careers site. And register for one of those sessions. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you have at those sessions for sure. And then Paul is asking about becoming an auxiliary constable. I love the auxiliary program. I started my career with the auxiliary. It was a great launch pad for me to get into this career. It gave me good insight into what the OPP was about, what the career was about. It gave me a lot of good relevant training and experience and leadership. So yeah, I would say for sure it's a great way to launch yourself into a career with the OPP. I know you started yours as well, career or Renee with the auxiliary.
Yes, I did. I did in the Sudbury unit back in 1999.
Yeah, party blankets.
Yeah. How about you? When was your auxiliary experience?
97 or 98. I don't remember. It's been so long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's another question about how we place people for their first location. So what we do is when you're going through our process, should you make it to the interview, you are going to be given an opportunity to ask for 6 preferred detachment locations. So that being said, you should definitely understand the province as a whole, understand the duration postings. All of this is on our website because you're going to list your top and favorite 6 places that you actually would like to work. Make sure that you understand where you're putting down and that it suits you and what you're looking for in policing and personally and professionally. I mean, you might have certain sports, certain things that you want. Look for those communities. You can also go online and see our detachment action plans, and you'll see what kinds of calls for service there are in that area. You know, is it a highway detachment? Is it more, is there more crime and thefts and things like that? All of that's available online. So do your research and pick your 6. We are usually pretty good at giving you one of your 6. It's not a guarantee, but I know that our statistics are pretty high that you would get one of your 6 detachment locations. So that being said, make sure you're putting places you actually want. Don't put things that you think we want or that you don't really want. Make sure there's 6 that you actually value and would like to work at. It's really important.
I'm just sorry. I'm just looking at Alex's comments about the north and being north of Highway 7, getting antsy. I don't even know what Highway 7 is, so that's how north I am. It's funny because we do have this conversation, and I've had a lot of presentations where this idea of coming north. Obviously, I'm the Northwest region recruiter, so I do try to promote my region and the north in general, and it's a conversation that we have often as far as people who have never experienced living in the north. Like it's funny that Alex said that they get antsy being north of Highway 7. If you don't know what it's like in the north, I could see how that would be intimidating. I could see how, you know, it would be a little bit unnerving, and you wouldn't want to necessarily commit to that if it's something that you don't know. So I usually suggest that people do a little bit of research on the north, maybe take a drive, you know, come for a drive to the northern regions and see what it's like. It's not all snowbanks and blizzards up here. Like I said, it's been pretty mild this year. It's not typical. It's usually a little bit colder than what we've experienced this year, but you get good years and you get colder years. But the cold is not anything that you can't manage. You get a car starter put in your vehicle and you start it 5 minutes before you go out, so it's not freezing cold, and you just wear appropriate clothing. That's the key. And there's a lot of days that are minus 30, sunny and clear, and you can hear that crunch of the snow under your feet while you're walking your dog, and it's manageable, and it's nice, and it's crisp, but it's fresh, right? And it's actually awesome. I really love it up here. I don't know that I would go anywhere else. But yeah, I would say to anybody who's considering it or who's intimidated by coming north, I would say don't be intimidated coming north. It's not what you think it is, and it's a great adventure.
Andrew asked if there's any positions in civilian positions for someone with a physical disability, and absolutely there are within the OPP and the greater OPS as a whole, the Ontario Public Service. Feel free to reach out to me specifically for some information on that. And then I saw another question asking about wanting to be a detective or in TRU. And how long does it take to achieve those things? Now, those are 2 very, very different roles. So you would not be able to prepare for each of those in the same midst. But you need a good, solid frontline policing background before you apply to specialties. Now, it's not to say that some people don't get in with at like a first class level being your 3-year mark, or sometimes a bit less. But if you're honest and preparing yourself, coming from a crime background and being a detective, you see that folks who have a solid base are much better in the role and they can apply new skill sets and training to their experiences, and vice versa. So you're not going to make detective or true member while you're on probation. That's just not realistic. But once you are established after your first year and you create your learning and development plan, your supervisor is going to help you achieve your goals, and you're going to outline those as you go. So if you're gearing towards a career in crime, then you'll be helped and guided in that fashion. True, perhaps you're going to steer a completely different direction for that, but I think everybody needs to think about a career in frontline policing first and foremost, that you'd be happy to do that for 30 years, and the specialties are wonderful gravy.
Yeah, and just to add to that, Kelly, I think that's something unique about the North as well, is, like if you are interested in specializing or getting into different specialties, I feel like the North has opportunities a lot sooner in your career than in other areas of the province, just because we have some attrition and we have some kind of openings and stuff like that. Like, it's just the turnover at our detachments kind of allows for that a little bit more. But like you said, I don't be in a rush. Learn the job, get your feet under you as a police officer, learn how to be a professional police officer. And then when you're ready, your supervisors and the leaders in your detachments will recognize that, and they will help you pursue, whatever your goals and dreams are.
There's a question here from Nicholas. He's asking if his children can ask a question, and they want to know if we have Christmas parties for the OPP members and their families. Well, I can say that Santa Claus even finds us up in Greenstone, and he came to our Christmas party. So I think it's definitely a go for Christmas parties within the OPP around the province for sure. I've been to my fair share. That's
to
for
sell
sure.
the North again, like we're a lot closer to Santa in the North Pole, right? So
To the North Pole.
of course,
That's right. We're close. We're close to
Yeah.
Santa.
And there's some other family appreciation events for that the kids may be interested in, like Wonderland offers our officers and their families a highly discounted day to come to the park, and they let you in a couple hours early. So there you go, kids. That's one more thing.
Lots of fun.
Somebody asked if they can't pass the PIN test while at the Provincial Police Academy, are they disqualified from further training? No, so we use different language. We use required and expected in most of our information or most of our correspondence. So it's expected that you can pass the PIN test while at the Provincial Police Academy, but it's not a requirement. So we'd really love it for you to be able to do that, and it would probably benefit you in most ways. But again, we're not going to disqualify you from further training if you're unable to successfully complete the PIN test at the academy in your first week.
And I definitely go check out those requirements, doing some self-pin tests on fitness logs. Okay. So start practicing those components, see what your score is, see where you need to focus. And I mean, if you do have an active lifestyle as it is, you're probably already passing and can just hone in certain areas that you want to improve on.
How many weeks in total now that we're post-COVID, pre-OPC, at OPC, and post-OPC? So currently it's a week pre-OPC, so at our Provincial Police Academy, 12 weeks at OPC, and then post-OPC back at our Provincial Police Academy in Aurelia, it's another 8 weeks. And then you go to your detachment and you spend 10 months to a year as a probationary constable working with a coach officer who's going to be training you, coaching you, mentoring you, evaluating you through your journey of learning the job of a professional police officer.
There's a lot of questions about the auxiliary.
That's awesome.
I think, yeah, let's just talk about the auxiliary a little bit. I mean, the process is somewhat similar to the process for regular recruit and frontline officer. So if you have time and you want to, the auxiliary is a fantastic option for so many reasons. When you look at those 10 areas of assessment, the auxiliary program will definitely give you check marks in all of those areas. You're going to learn about the organization. You're going to get your volunteer time in. And again, just all of the experiences that come along with it. I don't know if there's anything else anyone wants to add. You need to put some time in there and develop. You can apply to the front line when you're ready. But if you want to use the auxiliary to get some experience, I highly recommend it. It was extremely beneficial for me.
Are you looked down on if you are rejected by the OPP and then you apply for a municipality that you are near? No, I don't think so. I look at it like if it's in your blood, if you really have that that bug to be a police officer and serve your community, if that's in your soul, then yeah, if you're rejected by the OPP, of course you're probably gonna, I think it's probably expected that you're gonna probably be applying to another police service at some point. I'm just going to jump in here quick and just talk a little bit about Northwest Region quickly before we answer some more questions. There's a couple things going on. I just want people to know. In my region, I'm going to be at Confederation College tomorrow for their career fair from 10 till 3. Myself and Constable Lisa Lawrence will be there. We'll have members of the Provincial Communications Center there as well to talk about the civilian roles within the OPP. As well, at the end of March, there's a job fair at the Valhalla Inn in Thunder Bay that we will be at as well. And there's 2 dates for Fort Frances, one in April and one in May, that I'll be in Fort Frances as well doing events there. So just a heads up on that. And like I said before, every month, twice a month, the first Monday and Wednesday of each month, I do virtual information sessions.
We have a good question here for when you're employed, does it require a lot of time away from work to apply to the OPP? Actually, I think that was one of the things. I'm hoping that you can still hear me here and we're still connected. Most of our process, you can take just a few hours away to be able to get through each stage. Some of it you're doing on your own. Some of them you're sent instructions for fitness, etc. Our interviews are virtual, and it's consistent that way so that no matter where you are, we can run you through that process. Usually you may need a half a day off if something is scheduled. If you even need a day off, depends on your employment and what you're doing. But as far as traveling back and forth to Ontario or throughout the province 4 and 5 times through the process, that is not the case anymore. So it's much more efficient for you to go through our process and much more affordable as well.
There's a question about education and if it helps with the application. Any education that you have that is above our minimum standard of grade 12, Ontario Secondary School Diploma, anything that you have above and beyond that would be what we consider more competitive, right? It's not required, but it's one of those things that will give you, like more life experience, more opportunities to learn in different ways. So yeah, it's what we consider more, maybe make your application more competitive. And you do get paid while you're attending OPC, yes.
So,
question about if you're a veteran. Is there anything different required in the application process for a Canadian Forces veteran? Veterans would still need to go through the same application process. Of course, they'll have their own specific possibly transferable skills and things that may make you more competitive during the application process, but still has to go through it from start to finish.
What is it that they have to disclose, Renee?
In their process, they're just going to have to get their record of conduct.
Yeah, their military record of conduct. That's sorry, I wasn't getting the words weren't coming to my mind.
And if they study out of country or you're getting your education or post-secondary elsewhere, you just need to get that equivalency to be able to show us what it is equal to in Canada. So go ahead and if you look at the application on the front line where all of our checklists are, so when you go to the OPP application, take a look in there because all of the links for our frequently asked questions are there. The link is there also to get your education assessed. So if you do have education outside of the province, then you can go there to get it assessed for what it's equivalent to. But every link that you need for our process and the checklists are there. So remember, when you're doing your application, put everything in order and follow all of the instructions. The application is very simple to follow, but there is a lot to it. So if you print it up today, you're probably not applying tomorrow. You're going to need a week or two to wrap yourself around that, collect all your documents, and make that submission exactly as it's requested.
Question about LASIK eye surgery. I usually just recommend, I don't know the details and the ins and outs of a lot of our vision and hearing stuff. So I usually recommend people go to opp.ca/medical, and it's got like all of the information that you need about any of the questions that you have about our medical stuff. I do know that with LASIK, we need 2 clean visits to your optometrist to sign off on the success of your LASIK surgery. So again, I guess it depends where your vision is at as far as like our minimum standard for vision, whether you want to wait to get that done or whether you should get it done beforehand.
And just speaking of the LASIK, I had it done prior to getting hired, and that was because I didn't have a minimum of 20/40 uncorrected vision, and so I had the surgery, and that was 19-20 years ago, and I still have 20/20 vision. So it does work for most people, I think, if you're considering doing it and it's an investment in your future. Worked well for me. Can military police transfer? No, you cannot transfer over. You still have to go through the application process.
Some questions about special constable hiring process. I think that's an ongoing thing. So again, go to opp.ca/careers, and under our civilian employment, you'll find information on the application process for special constables. As well, I would reach out to detachments in your area because a lot of the detachments end up hiring special constables for their operational needs as far as courts and prisoner transport and stuff like that locally. So reach out to get information at your closest detachment as well.
Here's a good question, Sergeant Mills. Are we hiring?
Sorry. Yes. We're always hiring. Like we said earlier, we're trying to fill 135 seats per class at the Ontario Police College, and they have 3 classes per year. So we're hiring close to 500 annually. So now is a really good opportunity for anybody who's interested in a career in policing, and this is something I like to try to bring to people's attention. You know, it's a really good time. We're hiring a lot. So again, make yourselves as competitive as you can. Do the research. Take a look at our constable information booklet that's on our opp.ca/careers. It's a PDF file. Look at our areas of assessment. Make sure that you meet all of our minimum requirements. And I would say make really good notes on yourself in each area of assessment so that you can see where you're competitive and where you may need to develop a little bit to be at your competitive best.
There's a lot of questions about education and about being competitive in education background and employment background. Get the best grades you can in the programs that you're in. Do your best at your employment, be the best employee you can be that go-to person, take some leadership roles. And as far as there's questions about legal studies versus other studies, all studies are fantastic. We're a massive organization that requires all kinds of skills. I can tell you that these legal study programs are great because if you're doing well in that, it tells us that you're absolutely grasping the concepts and the foundation of going to police college. So that is great. Get some really good marks. OPC, you require a 75% to be able to pass. And we need to be confident when hiring you that you're going to be able to achieve those grades while there. And it's a very busy, action-packed studying 5 months. So work hard now so that when you're coming in through our process, it's really easy for us to tell that you're teachable and trainable. One more question, Sergeant, before we're signing. I don't know if we lost you there for a minute.
Yeah, I'm here. Can I apply to the OPP and other police forces at the same time, or is this not preferred? It's common. I don't know that it would hurt your application in any way. We typically have people who are in multiple processes. The OPP is hiring a lot, and other police agencies are hiring a lot as well. So I get it. I understand if your goal is to be a police officer, you're making your odds better by applying to other police services for sure. Just be transparent when you are communicating with us about where you are in those other processes, because we do want to know kind of where you are in the process. So if you are a quality applicant, we can do the things that we need to do to try to get you through our process in a timely fashion, right?
Ongoing education question from Daniel, saying that they didn't attend an official post-secondary, but they did go on to get a pilot's license and other things such as that. Grade 12 is the minimum, or its equivalent, but all of those experiences, the point that we're looking for is that you're an ongoing learner and that you are achieving things and you are successful. So be able to show us what you are learning, what your goals are, how you're achieving things, whether it be through work, community service, in whatever ways. Could be practical learning, in-class learning, all of those kinds of things. Just be able to show us that you're going to be able to be successful in our process. So all of those are fantastic.
And we do have an aviation
yes.
unit as well, Daniel. So if you do have your pilot's license, maybe that's a special transferable skill that you could bring to the OPP.
And don't forget that there's online learning opportunities that are free that you can enroll yourself in and show us that you can obtain higher than 75% on those courses, and that can really build and show your motivation as well, not just your education.
So Nino's just dropped this in for a second time, so I want to make sure I get it. Is the LFI virtual or in person? Most of our interviews are being done virtually still post-COVID. We've just found that it's much more efficient. So most of them are being done still virtually. So that's it. So sorry if we didn't get to your questions. A lot of interaction today. Thank you so much for your questions and your input. I'm gonna sign off now and say thank you very much to everybody for joining us today, and I'll let Renee and Kelly take it from here and close it off.
Thank you, Sergeant Mills. All right, for volunteer work, we'll answer one more question before we do head out today. There's so many things you can do for volunteer work. It can be organized. It does not have to be organized. Think about what you're interested in, what you want to help with, and go do something you enjoy doing. If I was to make a recommendation, I love the Big Brother, Big Sister program. There's victim services, there's volunteer fire, there's all kinds of one-time events like charitable walks and runs, fundraisers you can get involved in. Get involved with your community. Community service is about helping others. It's also about building relationships and being able to learn who your stakeholders are in your community and being able to use those resources when you are policing and requiring them in your community. So it's all about the whole big picture and getting involved. Anything else from you, Sergeant?
Don't forget about the simple things for volunteering, you know, whether it's an elderly neighbor who needs help shoveling their driveway or you cut their grass for them every week. Small acts of kindness that show your personality and that you're committed to helping people in your community. So it doesn't have to be a numbered company or volunteer group that you volunteer with. So just keep in mind that volunteering comes in all sorts of formats.
Thank you, everyone. Go back to the feed and we'll try and answer the rest of your questions. Have a fantastic day. Happy Valentine's Day.
Take care,
stay
everyone.
safe.